may I now come back to the meeting, because I was hoping that was Vona, by the way. She's been caught. A client's been on the phone and said he wants the stuff in an hour. So she's hoping to get it away to him and join us. But Frank, you said last week very kindly that you would give us a 10-minute talk. Are you okay to be able to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I'll share screen in a minute and may need help and guidance in doing that in a meaningful way, but I will do in a minute. I think the thing I must preface this, and I was hoping Amanda would be online, because when I'd finished, she could add the sort of technical and professional expertise. I am not a social media trainer at all. What I wanted to do really was just share my journey on LinkedIn, which has accelerated while I've been at home during this period, and hopefully give some tips as to things I found that worked and how I've used this time to put my use of LinkedIn, and this is only about LinkedIn, on a professional footing. So the things I've learned, I should really, I suppose, in all fairness and in all honesty, and a solicitor using the word honesty always causes alarm amongst those listening. I acknowledge those who I've learned from. So Chris Roxburgh of my marketing guy, and Anthony O'Brien, who's the MD of Profici, and Len Profici are a web design digital marketing company, and he now franchises that. So he has people who, with a franchise from all over the country, selling websites and marketing, and it's fed in to Profici Liverpool, where the work is done. So they generate the business and don't need to do it. So there's a franchise model you might want to look at. So when I started on LinkedIn, as a solicitor, I went on as we all do. People say you should join LinkedIn. So I went on, and it was Frank Rogers with a photograph, who I worked for. Tag was solicitor. So there's how many thousands and thousands of solicitors on LinkedIn. So that gives you no unique image. It gives you no niche expertise. It doesn't make you interesting. For some reason, you don't have to hate solicitors, but for reasons I've never understood, most people seem to find it well worth the effort. And on LinkedIn, you are not of interest to somebody. And I used to spend time each week posting and commenting and looking what people I knew were doing. So I was giving time to LinkedIn, thinking it was meaningful and constructive, and getting absolutely nothing in return. And that changed. If I just go to share screen now and bring up, hopefully, my LinkedIn page comes up. That changed when, and there, I saved this. When I turned on this morning, the top post was from somebody whose name seems vaguely familiar. So I didn't click new post so that I could show what a good devotee I am of Mr. Wayne Farrell. But that changed. If we go to my profile now, and LinkedIn changed for me when I did that. And it was Chris Roxburgh who showed me how to do this. So I changed after Frank Rogers solicitor to driving offence solicitor. And the impact that makes is that when you comment or like anything on LinkedIn, which takes you a second, and somebody looks to see, oh, who's like that or who's commented. So the person who's posted it, they don't see the anodyne tag Frank Rogers solicitor, which has no interest to them whatsoever. They see Frank Rogers driving offence solicitor. And as simple as that is, the connection requests I get, which I always personally acknowledge and sort of ask, was there a particular reason you wanted to connect? I would say 60, 70% of the people respond and say, well, I saw what you did. I don't need you now, but you never know when I might. So that immediately drew an audience to me nationally, because they saw, oh, right, this guy is niche, he's got specific expertise, and everybody in business will usually drive and need their driving license. And then the banner at the top, you see where it's got, let me save you a license. Chris gave me a website address, and I found this unbelievable when I did it. And I went on this website. It was somewhere in Asia, and you go on it and you put what you want. So I put LinkedIn banner post, and you put a budget. And he told me, don't put a budget more than £10. And I thought, well, nobody's going to design me a banner for less than £10. This is nonsensical. I think he said £5. And I thought, this is nonsensical. So I put 10. Within 5 minutes of putting that post on, I had 20 or 30 of these designer guys in Asia clamoring for my business. And I got somebody to design that, which would have been beyond me. So I'll be totally honest. That would maybe something you guys can do, would have been totally beyond me. And that cost me £7.50. And I thought, you know, that is really nice. From the day I did that, literally from the day I did that, LinkedIn started generating paid work for me and has continued to do so. So I get clients from all over the country on LinkedIn, simply because of how I changed my profile. So when I was off, the first thing I did was I got from Anthony O'Brien a download on, it was actually on how to write a social media campaign. And because I was focusing on LinkedIn, and he does have a LinkedIn one, which I saw subsequently, his LinkedIn download is all about writing a company LinkedIn strategy. So I haven't added to that, but I have finished this week my social media LinkedIn strategy plan. And it was really useful to analyze my setup and go through the 10 steps in this plan, which I'll finish with, hopefully not overrunning, and just see where I was and what I was doing. And although I thought I was busy on LinkedIn and LinkedIn was still generating work for me, I wasn't actually doing that much. And to my horror, I found that I hadn't posted a driving offence article since 2016. So that was 4 years without me giving any knowledge or insight or trying to share something interesting. And I really couldn't believe that. And this is all about building, because LinkedIn is a business to business site, it's about, for me, building credibility, visibility, and authority. And business clients are good for me because they will need their license, and they will have, particularly if they're a director or a business owner, they will have the budget not only to pay me a fee, but to pay me a premium value fee. So I thought, this is important. I can't not look at this. The next thing, so then I looked at articles, and from, I think towards the end of March, I have posted an article once a week. And I've got one, I've been for my permitted walk into the outside world this morning. So I haven't posted one, but I have got one that's going to go on today, which is how the police are dealing with drivers on semi-deserted roads who are speeding excessively, and what impact that is having on insurance renewals. So it's fairly topical, and that's going to go on today. But the next thing I did was I looked at groups. And if I can be clever enough to bring up this, this is part of my strategy plan. So the first step was define your starting point. So if you can see that, you can see what the state of play was then. And then I started listing the articles I'd written. And then I looked at the groups I was in. And you'll see there's an interesting one for you, Len, Mercury Franchising Network. I've left that now. It had no particular relevance to me, and it only had 23 members. So it's no point me being in it. So I left some groups that were of limited value. And then the top three that you'll see there, Drivers and Trainers Association, 6,000 members. I've had some members in that group commenting on my posts. So I joined that. Chief Executives, massive group, 92,000, great target market for me. And the Fleet Managers Forum, another great target market for me. So I joined some selected groups, and you can see that I have started to post articles directly, not only just onto my feed, but directly into these selected groups.
Can I butt in for a second, Frank?
Yep.
I don't seem to have, I can't see what you've got on here. I've still got your front page.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I tried to put a Word document up.
Ah.
Is it there now?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So you see the top three groups. So the strategy with groups was choose those that are directly relevant, and you can search with keywords, and then look at the other people's activity and comment and like, and then look for people of interest once you've engaged with them to invite to connect, and in inviting them, comment on something you know they've done or something from their profile so that you're hitting a note with them. Now, since I did that, you'll see there LinkedIn Liverpool posted an article on the 28th, and a guy who's a senior director in the construction industry wanted to connect with me because he thinks he may well need me. And then further down, there is, not sure how I go down in that article, but further down there is a reference to somebody in Warrington, the MD of a company with a small fleet of vehicles. He's in a right mess, and he contacted me and has instructed me on a number of jobs as a direct result of posting an article and posting it into that group. So that's how one of the things I started to do. The other things I think is important is when you're inviting somebody to connect is to personalize them and not sell, and then build the relationship. Part of the strategy plan is about timing and what you want to achieve and what your objectives are. And one of the ways I get shares, I'm in a number of what's called legs, which are LinkedIn engagement groups. So a BNI group I'm in, another Jeff Jones networking group I'm in, and a legs group that Chris Roxburgh set up, which must have 30 plus people in. So it's a WhatsApp group, and all it's for is every time one of us posts, you post the link to the group in WhatsApp, and we all then try and hit it, even if we just like it or comment or share, because it boosts the reach of the post. So the LinkedIn engagement groups I find very useful. The other thing that I looked at was my use of hashtags, and I wasn't using them, don't particularly understand them. I've got a better knowledge now. And I thought being very clever when I posted my articles, I was posting things like driving ban, speeding offense. I thought this is really clever and relevant, till I looked at those hashtags and found I was the only person following them. So that was a lot of use. I was posting a hashtag that I was interested in. But I then found that hashtag motoring has something like 3 million followers. So my recent articles and they will all from now on have the hashtag motoring. So it's another way of trying to reach a target group. So the 10 steps in Anthony O'Brien's plan were: one, define your starting point. So I did that and looked at where I was, particularly my lack of focused use of it in terms of articles. The second one is, what's your target group? So that led me to 3 groups that I did join, because they are football agents or business owners or company directors. The third step is set your objectives. So I identified those. And of course, the beauty of having any business plan in writing is you tend to become a slave to it because you know it's there. Then it was look at communications channels, but that's for broader social media stuff. Work out what your content format is going to be. Put the strategy to work. If you want, use a management tool, so that'd be something like Hootsuite. Organize your calendar. This is something I am going to do in Outlook, because I'm only getting used to this now, is plan when you're going to do an article. Think of what it's going to be on. So I get Google alerts on things like speeding offense, driving while disqualified, and you'd be amazed how much interesting stuff from the press comes up. And it's really helpful. And then, so I'm going to plan that. So, you know, for example, in December, January, you would write stuff about drink driving because the police are hyperactive. In the winter, you might have stuff about driving in bad weather, you know, those sort of things. But having a calendar to plan when you want to do an article, and I'm going to do a month-end analysis now of my month's activity and analyze, you know, what were the pluses, what didn't work, what did work. And that was the last step in the plan, was analyze your results. And I have found this so useful to actually dissect, that I'd gone back to playing with LinkedIn instead of thinking about it, having a strategy and using my time to move that strategy forward. And I found that a really cathartic exercise. And LinkedIn works for me. And you can see from, you know, an article on the 28th, a focused invitation to connect, and a guy with 2 or 3 complicated driving messes he got himself into. So that's how I've tried to use it on my journey.
Wow. Well, I've certainly learned a lot, and I thought I knew a little bit about LinkedIn. I've been on it for a long time, but all of a sudden you've started to open up my brain again, remembering what I used to do 5 years ago on LinkedIn. And it's totally different to what I'm doing now. So it's going to be, for me, a case of going back to square one.
Well, that's what I did, Geoffrey.
I started to go back to square one, funnily enough, last week. And I did it using our Friday video. And I've sent it out to about 25 people on LinkedIn Direct. And I must look at what's happened. But I've just, while I was trying to get Vona on, I looked at LinkedIn, and there's another 4 people wanting to contact me, literally from last Friday.
Wow.
So consequently, all your photographs, were up on my LinkedIn site last week. And again, all right, it'll only be the 4 of us this week, but they'll go up again. And
Geoffrey,
what I've got
to... The other thing I should have mentioned, which may be worth all of you doing, is I did an analysis of my competitors. So I know locally, so if I just look on Merseyside, there aren't many solicitors on Merseyside who specialize in driving offences. There are criminal firms that do crime and like to have some driving, but there aren't many who blatantly just do driving. There are some, but you can count them on the fingers of one hand and have them over. So I knew who they were. So I did some searches on LinkedIn for driving offence solicitor, Liverpool, and that sort of thing. And virtually nothing comes up. I then made a list of who I know my local competitors are, and I then looked at their LinkedIn activity, and none of them have ever posted an article. None of them are in any meaningful activity on LinkedIn at all. And that was just a fantastic boost for me, because it means that I have almost a home run on that business site. And it was very comforting to look at what your competitors are doing in the immediate geographical area and think, do you know, you're missing a trick. And that's why I get people from London, the Midlands, the Northeast, Yorkshire, contacting me, and not just contacting me for free advice, but contacting me and instructing me. So that's also worth doing. Look at who you think you're competing with, look at what they're doing, and make yourself different.
But carrying on from that, Frank, obviously you're saying you're getting people contacting you from around the country. So now we've been put into this situation where we can't travel. Will you find that from now on, you will do a lot more over Zoom to them until the court case comes up?
Totally. I mean, you know, for one example, I acted for a guy who ran a very large company, very niche, contacted me, was at risk of losing his license, contacted me. He was in court in Harrogate. So we did everything by phone and email, which isn't ideal, because he has to give evidence. It's, you know, it's a complicated hearing. He has to give evidence, and the evidence has to be spot on. We needed lots of supporting documents. I needed a diary of his activity, all sorts of things. And we did it and we prepped it. I didn't meet him till the morning of the hearing. And that is lack of personal contact, which I don't like. And I will offer, even clients who are local, if it's difficult for me to get to their office or difficult for them to get to mine, I will offer everybody a Zoom meeting. And for clients who aren't in my immediate vicinity, it's perfect. And what I will also offer is a free initial, say, half-hour Zoom, when you can have a chat, make some notes. You can, as you said, I remember when you said you wouldn't coach somebody, you want to see them because you want to see their body language, and you want to see if they're engaging or what you're dealing with. You learn a lot, don't you, from seeing somebody. And I like to think
the favorite one is this.
That when I'm with a client, my conversion rate, if I'm with a client for the first meeting, is, you know, massive, because I like to think I can convey the right degree of seniority and gravitas and knowledge, etc. So I will be using Zoom, both locally and nationally, and it will transform the dynamic.
Fascinating.
And the other thing I want to do, which I haven't done yet, but I've just bought, you know, a little tripod to put my phone on. It's not high tech, but I want to start doing some little video talks on LinkedIn. You know, 3 minutes tops. Things like what are the tips when you get a notice asking who was the driver of your vehicle because it's been caught speeding. There are so many things you can get wrong. So many easy tips that you need to know. And what I've got in mind is doing a sort of 3 video series, short, bite-sized chunks. These are the first things you do. The next video, I'll say at the end, I'll cover this, this, and this. So if the vehicle's registered to a limited company, what are the differences then? What's the advantages of having the vehicle registered to a limited company? Because there are plenty. And that's the other thing I'm going to start doing. is to try and do some video presentations, but keep them short.
Yeah. Well, this again is what Wayne has been saying to me over the last few weeks. And I've got to admit, I'm beginning to do it. I found a load of audio boos that I put on in 2006, that when I was putting them onto my blogs on my website, I was actually putting an audio boo on as well. And I'd forgotten I'd done them. I'd forgotten I'd had them. And even though I say it myself, some of them were quite interesting. So I'm revamping it, the same as I said last week. I'm revamping empowerment series and the empowerment book.
Yeah, very good idea. And I think, you know, at this time, Geoffrey, we're talking about when we come out of this, airline pilots, not just airline pilots, people in hospitality and tourism and retail.
Mm.
You know, there are going to be so many people that may want to franchise, Len. You know, they may see that as their way forward. They may want to start up a small business from home on their own. And they may just, you know, they may just be so damaged that they don't know what to do. And that's where, Geoffrey, what you can offer them is so vital, so vital.
It's like the
and Wayne,
if you go back to the big recession at the end of the 80s, early 90s, I was franchise manager at Amtrak once that recession was over, and it was just unbelievable. Yeah. Compared with today, we would put an advert in one of the local papers like the Newcastle Chronicle, and we'd get 200 replies. And I used to go up to Newcastle or anywhere, we did it all over the country, and I was doing presentations to about 50 people, and they were fighting for an area who would get the area. I sold, this figure sounds daft, I know, but I sold 69 franchises in 1 year. That was in the sort of early 90s.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And my colleague did very much the same, you know, and it was, I mean, it's changed now, but I can see a similar situation happening once it comes out. There'll be a lot of people being redundant, you know, and so on.
Yeah.
And people will need what the three of you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I think what we've got to say is, you know, as happened at this meeting with John Haynes yesterday and the 1817, I can't remember the number of people on it, there were quite a few people saying similar things to what we're saying, and each one of us has got a different niche that we are capable of specializing in. My problem is, because I know I've done so many bits and pieces over my life, and I do so many bits and pieces with regard to Guru Geoffrey, I need to specialize myself. I need to decide what my niche is.
Sure.
And I think that's important.
I think if you pick either what you think is going to be the most in demand or the most popular, or another way of looking at it is what's the you know, this goes back to Wayne's presentation. What's your best earner? You know, what's your big ticket job that you want to sell? And then look at, and I thought Wayne's approach was fascinating.
Oh, yes.
How do you get people to buy the big ticket service that you actually want to sell them? You may not go in and try and sell them the big ticket job, because they might say, oh my God, I haven't got the time, or that's too expensive. But if you can give them an appetizer and get them into the Geoffrey Prince program with an appetizer, that's a nice way of catching a sprat and it becoming a rather healthy looking mackerel on the barbecue.
Yeah, this is it. I said it to Wayne yesterday afternoon, but on this meeting, halfway through the meeting, a lady turned around and said, John, is Geoffrey Prince the one who wrote the book Success, the Choice is Yours that I got from you? And John said, yes. And she said, Geoffrey, I really enjoyed that book. And that was 2008, something like that, when I did it. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
So consequently, people do. There was anyway, I'm fascinated. I really enjoy that talk, you know, and I think it's so empowering. Wayne, for once, you've been so quiet.
I've just been listening. Yeah, as you say, for once. I mentioned to you last week that I was putting together this ebook around LinkedIn marketing, and it's pretty much done. All I've got to find now is a way of reducing the size of the PDF from 600 odd KBs, you know, so that it doesn't take up too much space on my website, etc. So what I'll do is I'll email that over to you guys, and to anybody in the audience that's listening, it's available as a free download on the website as well, or certainly will be over this weekend. But it really, you know, these things, Frank, that you've said, to go and create your profile, just those minor little tweaks at times, sometimes can be the thing that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really useful what you brought up. So what I want to do, and if that's okay with you guys, is, you know, as you know, we already edit this video and put it available on YouTube and that, but I actually want to specifically take elements from this, and I'm going to put it within the article where they can actually download the ebook. Because I think, Frank, you know, coming from you, those things that you've said, it'd be highly valuable.
Can I ask a question?
Want to look at LinkedIn.
Wayne, may I ask a question? You know, we've been talking about articles and you posting articles. Are these articles that you're posting, what, 3,000, 4,000 words, or you know, bigger or smaller, or what?
And can I ask a question as well, Wayne? Where do we find
so there's
on YouTube?
Firstly, the videos on YouTube is just on my YouTube channel, which is Coaching with NLP. So if you write an article, I'd say you probably want to make a minimum of 1,000 words, maximum of 3,000, because people also want to read that much.
Yeah.
Typically this, and there's been research done with what's sort of the sweet spot, you know, because if I want to choose a keyword, so let's say example, NLP training, right? I don't want to blast the whole article just with the keyword NLP training. So I'm going to give variations of that as well. NLP practitioner, NLP course, become an NLP practitioner, etc. Right? So you, within, if you've got this 2,000 or 3,000 word article, you've got more opportunity to actually add in your keywords in the different formats. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's a, you know, like you're spamming the keyword. So ideally, if you're doing the article, at least 1,000 words, like I said, more so, it's about 2,000, which is at the moment seems to be like a sweet spot. Now, if you're writing an ebook, and this is also true maybe if you're writing, you know, more than 3,000 words, what I would typically do then is write a shorter article. It might only be 750 to 1,000 words, but it's more just the introduction to create awareness. And then within that, there's a link that says download here. You can also have, as an example, on the side of your, you know, so many websites on the side have a get a free ebook or free stuff or whatever it might be. So you can have another link in there available as well. And so when people click on that, they download the ebook, and that can then be your 30, 50, 60 pages. So on my site at the moment, I think I've got 4 ebooks on how to do 1% daily growth. So essentially thinking of Kaizen, an ebook around emotional intelligence. There's 3 or 4 different ones. So again, sorry, Geoffrey. So again, I may or may not within that article to advertise the ebook or to lead them to the ebook also add a video. So you asked, Geoffrey, because I want to answer the question for Frank.
The reason why I asked is because we produced in the Northern Federation of Divers this booklet, which comes out 4 times a year, and they've got articles on all the diving and what, you know, what's going on, etc. But what David did who is the magazine editor, he's put them on a flip book. So when they actually come out, you flip the pages like reading a book. And he sent me the link over yesterday because he thinks that some of the stuff that I've written would be far better going into the likes of a book like this, where people who are used to reading can flip the pages more than they do at the moment on some of my articles. And I just thought I'd mention it because it's another visual way.
Totally. So the question you got to ask yourself, I think I mentioned this before, is for what purpose? If your intention is to drive traffic, then doing it as a normal article with your keywords is going to be one of the better ways. Of course, adding a video, etc. If you have something like that where you've got the pages being able to turn, I stand to be corrected on this. So I'm no SEO trainer or anything. I stand to be corrected, but I think that it's not going to have the same SEO impact because Google and the bots won't be able to read the article in the same way as if you had it in a, like a text essentially on your article. Of course, what you can do is you can, if you wanted to read it. So that's why I asked you the other day about, your success articles.
Yes.
Or MP3s. You can actually go and read them and then make a video from them as well. Because Google owns YouTube, and YouTube again is the second largest search engine, or what people use for searching anyway. So they're so smart nowadays that they can actually hear the audio within your video and utilize that as part of the SEO algorithm as well. So one of the things that I'm busy with at the moment, and we spoke about this yesterday actually, is the video that I did, the presentation last week about the different ways of generating the income. Now what I've done is I've taken the video to text. So there's a program, the video plays, they extract all of the text. I essentially copy the text, then just go and pretty it up and make keywords, etc. And so from that, I've now got a blog article that I can add the video into. So Google's happy from the blog point of view. But again, there's about 2,500 words in that. There's a video in there. There's, of course, alt-tagged images, etc. So, like I said, it's all for what purpose are you doing it? Are you doing just give the information in an ebook format? And also because it's too much information, because you couldn't put 50,000 words in one page on your website, right? Nobody would ever read it. So it's easy for them in that format as an ebook.
Yeah. So
but if you want to do it for SEO, then keep it to sort of 2,000 words.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in your view on the size of the article. I think the one I'm going to put on today is very short because the point is a simple point, and I didn't want to blather on, which I'm quite capable of doing, preferably when somebody is paying me. But I think on average the articles I've posted, and I know I've been sat there thinking, oh my God, this is too long. Have probably been like 800-900 words. And I've been sitting there thinking, oh, I bet you 500 is the target. And now that's really given me a different perspective. If you're saying it's getting on for 2,000 is the optimum length, that's a totally different perception for me.
And this is within LinkedIn, a 2,000 article?
No, this is on your blog, on your website.
Right, because I would have thought that what Frank said a moment ago, 500 words, maybe 600 words is more than sufficient to go onto a LinkedIn.
So remember, again, you can use LinkedIn in different ways. You've got your private profile, but you can also have a company profile. And so your articles can be put in different contexts. Okay. So one of the things that you can do is you can write your article on your website, which from a Google SEO point of view, you know, is generating traffic.
Yes.
Then you can take so one of the ways I like to do it, will you guys be able to see if I do a little bit of that?
Are we all happy for time, by the way, because we're just over the hour?
Are you okay? Okay, so what I do is I write my my blog. I very much do something once, try to get multiple bang for your buck. Okay, so it's from a time perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I write the blog. Now, again, that's from Google SEO. From there, what I do is I send an email. So I take a snippet of the blog and I email my contact list. I say, if you want to read more, then I put a link to the actual article on the website. So it drives traffic to the website. It also keeps engagement with my audience. Now what you can do, of course, you've got your blog, but you can also go and turn that into a vlog. So your video blog. So essentially what you do is you are creating a video from your blog. Like I said, you can also do it vice versa. You can write a blog from your vlog. The beauty of that is when you got your blog and you then have a video embedded in your blog, some people just want to watch it. So that serves them. And of course, also the auditory people that just want to listen to it. And then you've got the people that might actually want to prefer to just speed read it. Okay. Or just read it as an example. So use your blog, but add a video inside it as well. Now what I then do is, because I've already got that, I go to, and Frank mentioned it earlier, use a platform like Hootsuite. So the aim is, you take your link of your article. So just the domain name of where the article lives on your website, and you just put in Hootsuite, article on driving offenses as an example. You connect your 3 different platforms and press send, and suddenly your article lives on all of those platforms as well. So now you've got engaged more people that can potentially read. They want to read, so they click on the link, so they come back to your website. So again, engages or gives you more traffic towards your website. Yeah, and all that you did is you just started with your one article.
I got Hootsuite somewhere, but I don't actually know how to use it now because it's changed since I put it on about 3 years ago.
Okay, so Hootsuite, you just literally go and type it into Google, so because it's an online platform. So you just type in Hootsuite. You'll log in. Most often, I just log in through my Facebook account. So you can have your Facebook account connected.
Mm-hmm.
You select your different profiles that you want on there. Again, with the free version. And for most people, the free version is enough.
I pay?
Sorry?
I'm paying, and I have been for about 3 years and not used it properly.
Right. I've had it now for probably 12 years, and I've got the free version, and it works perfectly. Like I said, it depends. Again, it comes back to that for what purpose. If I'm going to go post something on YouTube, I deliberately go to YouTube and upload the file, because then I can do all the keywords. And in fact, it's in the ebook. I'm going to create one specifically on YouTube in the next week or so. So if you go and add a video to your YouTube, how do you select your tags, i.e. your keywords? How do you put it in certain files? So if somebody wants to look for, let's say, Frank, as an example, you've got a YouTube channel and you've got one on drunk driving offenses, speeding offenses, driving blindfold offenses, whatever they might be, right? But you might have 20 videos on each one of those. So instead of just having all 60 on the site, you can actually put them that they live in their own files, in their own folders. And so the person that's specifically looking for that can just look at it. So they call it a playlist. You can go into the playlist and then just go and search for those particular videos. So there's a few things that you can do with YouTube, and it's actually much easier to rank within YouTube than it is just in normal Google. So when you can combine them, so add your video onto your blog and you're hitting both of those, lot easier.
Okay.
That's a great little presentation, that, Wayne, and I love your expression, getting, was it more buck for your dollar? You know, I love that. It's one unit of work with, and it's harvested in 5 fields.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It is. It is superb.
It's all about time, you know, because we're all pressed for time. So rather than doing the same thing over and over, do it once and just exploit it.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
You've got me going again on putting them on my blog, on my website first, and then feeding out from there, as I used to do. Right. Well, I'm impressed. I think we ought to call it, because we're now coming up to an hour and 10 minutes. Len, would you like to do a 10-minute similar presentation next Friday?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
I think it would be interesting to hear what you found are the, and it may be a wide range, you know, are there particular businesses that are ideal? And if somebody was looking to franchise, it's like when somebody wants to exit from a business, they can't just get up today and say, I'm going to sell the business. They need to speak to their accountant, their lawyers, and there's preparation to optimize tax and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Are there things that a potential franchisor, how do they get their ducks in a row so that they are at the optimum stage and structure to make it easy then to franchise with the best result? That would be interesting for me.
I think I've mentioned it before. I do a 7-step strategy. That if somebody comes to me and says, I want to franchise my business, I ask them 5 questions first. The answer yes to those 5 questions, say, right, these are the 7 steps you need to take before you start to franchise your business. Yeah.
Excellent.
And if I go through those 7 steps, that is probably the best way to do it, I would think. You know, the first book I wrote was Buying a Franchise, The Keys to Success, and that was aimed at franchisees, prospective franchisees.
I think you've got 2 talks there, Len.
Yeah.
And I don't see why in you know, if we keep this going, I don't see why in the Geoffrey Prince season you couldn't do both.
Yeah. There are 2 different subjects. Yeah. Actually 2 different subjects.
Okay. Right, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed.